안녕하세요. You are going to learn how to make question sentences using when in this lesson. Let's go.
Okay, let's learn how to make a question using when then. See how fast you're learning. It's amazing. What was the Korean translation for when? 언제. 언제. This when is an adverb in English like now, yesterday, or tomorrow. Do you remember where we put the adverb like now, yesterday, or tomorrow in a Korean sentence? Yes, right after the subject. Well, actually, adverbs like now, yesterday, or tomorrow are nouns in Korean, not adverbs. You heard of something like this from us before, right? Like the question forms using what, when we make a question using when, we use a be verb or a verb or a modal do verb. Let's make a question using be verb first then. A question using be verb is still related to the English pattern number 3 that we learned in lesson 3 because we're still gonna use the predicate 예요 or 이에요. Let's see the English sentence first. When is your birthday? How would you answer to this question? My birthday is on August 11th. We haven't learned the numbers and the translation of month and day. Of course, you can find them in the vocab box on the right, but you can still translate this sentence without knowing them. Birthday is 생일, 생일. 제 생일은 or 제 생일이, whatever the particle is. Let's use 생일은. 제 생일은 August 11th. 예요. Let's focus more on the structure than the translation here. The date on August 11th is the information we want to know using when, right? Then let's swap it with when and change my birthday to your birthday because I want to know your birthday. Your birthday is when. If we reposition the words according to the Korean structure and rule, it will be your birthday when is, right? Your, 당신의. 의 is the particle that makes the noun or pronoun possessive. But you know what? Let's not talk about this anymore. From now on, we will never use the pronoun 당신 forever. We're not even gonna translate it for your convenience. You use this word 당신 when you're fighting someone in Korea normally. Of course, many people call their husband and wife 당신 in Korea too. Interesting, isn't it? I'm not gonna make further comment on this. Anyway, you know all this already. Okay, birthday. 생일이. Let's use the particle 이 because this is a question sentence. We'll learn more about this on the next page. Again, 생일이. When. 언제. Is. 예요. This is a question, therefore you should make a rising tone with the last word 요. 생일이 언제예요? You can make a higher respect sentence when you want to ask this question to someone who is much older than you. The higher respect form of the noun birthday is 생신. 생신. Do you remember how to make the higher respect form of the predicate 이다? 이에요. 예요. We learned it in lesson 5 part 1. 이시다 is the basic form and 이셔요 or 이세요 is the higher respect form of the predicate 이다 with the honorific suffix 요, right? When there is a final consonant in the formal block, you use 이셔요 or 이세요, and when there is no final consonant in the formal block, you use 세요 like we use 예요 instead of 이예요, okay? Keep that in mind. Okay, let's see how to make a question with a do verb using when. Let's see the simplest question first. When do you go? How would you answer to this question? The answer to this question will be the key to make a question form in Korean. Because in Korean, we just need to put a question mark to a declarative sentence and make a rising tone. I go now. Now is the part we want to know using when, right? So let's swap now with when and replace I with you because I want to ask you a question. You go when. As we put time-related word right after the subject in a Korean sentence, Let's put when right after the subject. You, when, go. We don't need the pronoun you here. When, 언제, go, 가요 with a rising sound. How about the higher respect form? We need to add 시 sound to the verb 가요. So it will conjugate into 가셔요 or 가세요. 언제 가셔요 or 언제 가세요? Some might ask why we don't add the particle 에 to when in the first place, as we did for some time-related adverbs or nouns. Well, there can be two possible answers to that question. First of all, 언제 already has 에 sound with 제, so it would be sound redundancy if we pronounce 에 sound one more time according to the sound economic principle that we made up. Second of all, when we use the interrogatives in Korean, strangely it sounds more natural without the particle. That's it. Okay, that's great. Now you can make a question using when. This is a very important page. We are going to learn how to get around using you or your in a sentence, and how particles change the nuance of the sentence, and how to turn the sentence into a higher respect form. Let's see the English sentence first. Teacher Kim, when is your birthday? Or Teacher Kim, your birthday is when? Maybe this second sentence is not helping. Let's get rid of the second sentence from the next page. We call Teacher Kim first to get an attention before we ask a question to her or him. Like, hey, Teacher Kim. So, Teacher Kim is not actually a subject of the sentence. Your birthday or a birthday is the subject of the sentence. Remember that. So the sentence structure in Korean is going to be Teacher Kim, your birthday, when, is. Let's see the first Korean sentence. Teacher Kim. Kim is the last name of a person and teacher is 선생님 in Korean. We put the last name first in Korean and then put the profession. So Kim 선생님. It's not Kim actually, as most of the foreigners pronounce. But it's Kim, not Kim. It's Kim. Your birthday. We don't need the possessive your. Birthday is 생일 in Korean. Let's use the subject particle 이 here. 생일이, 생일이. When, 언제, is. The predicate 예요, 예요. 김 선생님 생일이 언제예요? This is a correct and perfect sentence, but you can use the particle 은 for the subject birthday, and it will change the nuance of the sentence slightly. Let's take a look at it together. Teacher Kim. Let's call Teacher Kim to get his or her attention first. 김 선생님. Your birthday. 생일은. 생일은. When. 언제. is 예요. 김 선생님, 생일은 언제예요? It sounds like you ask other questions to Teacher Kim before you ask him or her this question. So normally you don't have to call Teacher Kim one more time since Teacher Kim is now listening to you. So 생일은 언제예요? would be just fine. Of course, you can call Teacher Kim one more time to get an attention. So it's like, okay, Teacher Kim, when is your birthday then? 김 선생님, 생일은 언제예요? You understand the nuance? Okay, next sentence. 김 선생님은. We use the particle 은 for Teacher Kim even though it's not the subject of the sentence. The rest of the sentence is the same. 생일이 언제예요? 김 선생님은 생일이 언제예요? As we mentioned in lesson 5 part 1, 은 and 는 are not actually subject particles, but they are auxiliary particles that can give a word a few different roles in a sentence. Of course, you can make a word the subject of the sentence too. That's why we use them as subject particles so far. 김 선생님 is not the subject of the sentence grammatically, but it's the subject of this conversation because the speaker is asking about Teacher Kim. Teacher Kim is the subject who owns the birthday. We are talking about Teacher Kim's birthday, right? Do you understand what it means? So, you can say that there can be two subjects in this Korean sentence. The actual subject of the sentence, birthday, and the subject of the conversation, teacher Kim. I think we talked something about this in lesson 4 part 3. Anyway, 김 선생님은 생일이 언제예요? It sounds almost the same as 김 선생님 생일이 언제예요? Just when there are other people in the same room, this particle 은 can be used to inform teacher Kim that I am now talking about you. Okay, let's take a look at the next sentence. 김 선생님의 생일은 언제예요? We can see this 의 is used here. We use 의 to make a noun or a pronoun a possessive normally. So the English translation is going to be like, when is teacher Kim's birthday? And the particle 의 takes the role of apostrophe s in English, as you know. Of course, you can use the other subject particle 이, 김 선생님의 생일이 언제예요? We added this sentence to show you that we don't use the possessive your in an honorific sentence. But the thing is, Koreans don't really use this particle 의 in a real-life conversation either. Of course, it's grammatically correct, so you can still use it, but it sounds better without the particle 의 in a real-life conversation. Just keep that in mind. So, 김 선생님 생일이 언제예요? Or 김 선생님 생일은 언제예요? It's just fine. It looks the same as the second sentence on this page, but the difference is, in a second sentence, you call teacher Kim. Hey, teacher Kim, 김 선생님, when is your birthday? But in this sentence, 김 선생님 생일은 언제예요? It's the translation of when is teacher Kim's birthday. Do you get it? Okay, very good. Just remember that in Korean, you should find another way to get around using you or your. Otherwise, just get rid of it from the sentence. Okay, let's see the next sentence. It's a higher respect form. We call teacher Kim first. 김 선생님. It sounds alright because 선생님 is already a higher respect form with the 님 sound. 선생 is the informal form of the noun teacher. This 님 sound makes some nouns a higher respect form. 생신이. 생신 is the higher respect form of birthday. 생일. 생신. 생신. Okay? And we use the subject particle 이 here. When. 언제. is. 세요. Do you remember we learned about 이셔요 and 이세요 in lesson 5 part 1? 이셔요 and 이세요 is the higher respect form of the predicate 이에요, right? But as you use 예요 when there is no final consonant in the formal block, you should use 세요 or 셔요 without e sound. So 세요 is also higher respect form of the predicate 이다. The basic form of 이다 becomes 이에요 or 예요 when it combines with the honorific suffix 요, and it becomes higher respect form 이셔요, 셔요, or 이세요, 세요. Okay? The full sentence is going to be 김 선생님 생신이 언제세요? 김 선생님 생신이 언제세요? 김 선생님 생신이 언제셔요? 언제셔요? 언제세요? Both are fine. Okay, let's take a look at the next sentence. This one looks a bit complicated. Let's read it together first. 김 선생님께서는. What is 께서는? It's actually 께서 plus 는. 는 is of course an auxiliary particle that we've been using as a subject particle. 께서 is the higher respect form of the subject particle 이 and 가. Then why 께서 is added here since we never added 이 or 가 to teacher Kim. Listen carefully, this is a bit hard to understand. As I told you, teacher Kim is not actually a subject in an English sentence. Your birthday is. But teacher Kim can be the second subject in a Korean sentence because the speaker is talking to or talking about teacher Kim. That's why we could add the particle 은 in some cases. Since teacher Kim is the second subject of the sentence or the subject of the conversation and is a human and socially deserves higher respect form, you can add 께서 regardless of the fact that it's the higher respect form of the subject particle 이 or 가. But when you put 께서 not in the position of 이 or 가, you should add 는. In other words, you cannot leave 께서 alone with the teacher Kim in this sentence, as we can't add the particle 이 to teacher Kim in this sentence. Again, it's not like you must use 께서 to teacher Kim in this sentence, but if you want to use it, you need to add a particle 는 because 께서 is the higher respect form of 이 or 가, and teacher Kim in this sentence cannot take the particle 이 because it's not the first subject in this sentence. Now you get it? This is a bit confusing, so let me list the gist one more time. First, 께서 is the higher respect form of the subject particle 이 or 가, not 은 or 는. Therefore, needless to say, you cannot replace 은 or 는 with 께서. Second, we added the auxiliary particle 는 to 께서 here because teacher Kim is not actually the subject in this sentence. Third, yes, you can get rid of 께서 from this sentence if it's too complicated, but if you want to make a good higher respect sentence, it will be no harm to use 께서, okay? You use 께서 only to a human who is a bit or much older than you or takes socially much higher position than you. When you use 께서 in substitution for 이 or 가, you shouldn't add 은 or 는, obviously, as we saw in lesson 5 part 1. The rest of the sentence is going to be the same. 생신이 언제세요? Or 쉬어요? 세요 is used more commonly in a real life conversation. 김 선생님께서는 생신이 언제세요? 김 선생님께서는 생신이 언제 쉬어요? Very good. If it's too hard for you to remember all of the sentences here, just remember the first one. 김 선생님 생일이 언제예요? Or the first one of the higher respect form. 김 선생님 생신이 언제세요? Or the second higher respect form would be fine too. 김 선생님께서는 생신이 언제세요? Because it sounds so polite with a higher respect form of the particle, the noun, and the predicate. It's a perfect higher respect form of the sentence. Okay, wow, it's been a long page. You learned a lot of things though. Let's move on. Let's make another question using when then. Let's see the vocab box first. We try not to use the new words in the main lesson so that you can focus more on the sentence structure and the grammar. You can learn new vocabulary anywhere. Maybe you can find some new words in use of lesson. Okay, let's take a look at the English question first. 지용, when did you go to school yesterday? 지용 is a Korean male name. Let's say 지용 is a speaker's friend who is older than him. So the speaker is going to use the word 형, which means an older brother. How do you have to position the words? Let's do it together. Let's put 지용 first because we have to call the listener first to get an attention and put the subject you that we are not going to use in a Korean sentence right after it. And put the time-related adverb yesterday right after the subject as usual. It's going to be a noun in a Korean sentence, by the way. Yes, yesterday is a noun in Korean. Don't worry, it doesn't really matter. Then where should I put when? Obviously, when is also a time-related word. Therefore, it might sound better if you put it right after the subject. But unfortunately, we have not a time-related word yesterday here. Then which one should come first? Since we use the word yesterday, when is supposed to mean more specific time than just yesterday, like what time, morning or afternoon. In Korean, we arrange time-related words in order from bigger to smaller time. Year, month, day, hour, minute, and second. When here means more specific time than just yesterday. Therefore, it will sound natural if you put it right after the word yesterday. Did we explain a simple thing too difficult? You understand our point though, don't you? That's enough then. And put the verb went at the end. And put the destination to school right before the verb went, because it is the word directly related to the verb. 지용, you, yesterday, when, to school, went. 지용, 지용이 형, you, we don't need this. Yesterday, 어제, when, 언제, to school, 학교에. Let's use the particle 에 because it's the place the subject went. Went. 갔어요. It's the past tense. If you want to learn about the conjugation, you need to go back to lesson 3 part 1. 지용이 형, 어제, 언제 학교에 갔어요? That's it. Perfect. Let's put the auxiliary particle 은 to 지용이 형. 지용이 형은 어제 언제 학교에 갔어요? 지용이 형은 어제 언제 학교에 갔어요? Now you understand how the nuance changes with the particle 은, right? Then let's turn this sentence into a higher respect form. 지용이 형. Yes, you can use 께서 here, but if you call someone 형, he must not be much older than you are. It can be too much to use 께서 here. It's totally your choice though. 어제, 언제 학교에 가셨어요? You understand how it became 가셨어요, right? The basic form of the higher respect form of the verb go is 가시다. We need to add 엇어요 to turn it into the past tense. 가시엇어요. 시 and 엇 sounds are supposed to combine because 시 sound doesn't have a final consonant. 시엇, 시엇, 샷. 가셨어요. 지용이 형 어제 언제 학교에 가셨어요? Or 지용이 형께서는 어제 언제 학교에 가셨어요? 지용이 형 어제 언제 학교에 가셨어요? Normally when you speak in honorifics, it is okay to use a higher respect form of a verb to anyone, but it can be overpolite to use a higher respect form of a noun or a particle to someone who is slightly older than you. It's still okay, but you don't have to overpolite. Just keep that in mind. When does the class start today? The class today. When starts or does start, whatever. Let's see the vocab box. 수업. 수업. 수업 means a class or a lesson, a course of teaching in a particular subject. The class, 수업이. Let's keep using the particle 이 or 가 for the subject. Today, 오늘. When, 언제. Start, 시작해요. 수업이 오늘 언제 시작해요? It's nothing, isn't it? You can make other questions on your own. Needless to say, you can't use a higher respect form in this sentence because the class is not a human. Let's make another question in the future tense using when. When is that woman going to come here? That woman, when, here, is going to come. Let's see the vocab box. How to translate that woman in Korean. Yes, 그 여자. If you add 분 to 그 여자, we can make a higher respect form of 그 여자, and it sounds more polite. 그 여자분. Keep that in mind. That woman. 그 여자가. Let's use the subject particle 이 or 가 again. No problem. When. 언제. Here. 여기로. Let's use the particle 로 because it goes well with the verb come. Of course, you can use the particle 에 too, no problem. It's going to come. The basic form of the verb come is 오다. The stem is 오. We need to add a final 르 sound and 예정이에요 to mean be going to in English. So 올 예정이에요. 그 여자가 언제 여기로 올 예정이에요? But in Korean, it is better to use a higher respect form for stranger woman. It will make you look better. So let's use 그 여자분 instead of just 그 여자 and turn the verb into a higher respect form. The higher respect form of the verb 오다 is 오시다. It's easy because it's a regular change. We just need to add a 르 or 을 plus 예정이에요 to it to make it a future tense. 오실 예정이에요. But we also can turn 이에요 part into a higher respect form, as we learned adding she to it. So 예정이에요 becomes 예정이셔요 or 예정이세요. So 그 여자분이 언제 여기로 오실 예정이셔요? Or 예정이세요? 이세요 is used more commonly as we said. 그 여자분이 언제 여기로 오실 예정이세요? How about the future tense form using the auxiliary verb modal will? We just need to add a final 르 sound or 을 plus 거예요. 그 여자분이 언제 여기로 오실 거예요? 그 여자분이 언제 여기로 오실 거예요? But you can also turn 예요 part into a higher respect form as you learned it's 쉬어요 or 세요, right? So 그 여자분이 언제 여기로 오실 거세요? Would be fine too. 그 여자분이 언제 여기로 오실 거세요? Okay, this is end of lesson 5 part 2. See you in part 3 then. 안녕히 계세요. 감사합니다.
This is the end of lesson 5 part 6. You are going to learn how to make question sentences using where and who in the upcoming lessons. See you in the next lesson then. 안녕히 계세요.